So I want to share about how on Instagram there's a account called at Chantal, Chantal, Wade, Wade, therapy. And she says things we don't realize are actually shame. Feeling exposed when someone shows real care, feeling gross or disgusting in your body, rehearsing conversations in advance to not seem too sensitive, wanting to disappear after a misunderstanding, feeling embarrassed for wanting reassurance, feeling tense when someone looks at you, tensing when someone says your name, explaining needs before naming them, relief when plans cancel and then guilt, assuming that you take up too much space, believing enjoyment has to be earned, feeling unsafe being fully seen, holding back parts of yourself with safe people you can trust. If that wasn't clear, saying basically not sharing parts of the self with the safe people we should be able to trust. So holding back on purpose. Stomach drop when forgetting what you were going to say. I want to workshop this with, so I felt like I went to like a 12-step meeting where it's about like, when in relationships we act a little bit addictive, like maybe we want love or pleasure or something. And I went to a 12-step meeting and I was like looking at these areas in me. And first of all, I did a gratitude list before that. And in my gratitude list, I said, what's stronger than the shame in the gratitude? People to be supportive with presence as if a body double, that I have company while I'm productive, engineering, endeavoring. I'm so grateful for nature, so I could alchemize and receive and lean in. Grateful for my capacity to feel guilt so that I could improve. In other words, instead of shame, feeling guilt. Grateful for the soft, warm body flesh to touch because of oxytocin, whether it's a pet or a friend, and all the times it's happened. And grateful for Prospect Park to face fears and grief. Different kind of nature. I think of nature sometimes not only like in the nature, but like nature, being in nature is being in the flow, being with the water and this. But Prospect Park, I go like to go for a walk, the trees, to be alone, the quiet, you know. So in the 12-step meeting. Oh, and then desires. So the shame around desire. So I was like, this is the desires I had: to have 4 kids with my husband, to move to Israel, to have more parnasa, for example, to go on vacations. Parnasa is livelihood, but it means money. Refuah shlema, which means a complete healing, and to get back in shape. And so, in SLA, in the 12-step meeting, there was things that were coming up. First of all, I had threatened the man with a restraining order, versus just like new man, you know what I'm saying? And because he had mocked me for being in recovery, I don't want to be. He said I felt like I was the addict to an abusive, neglectful man, and he told me I just want people to clap for me. That's why I'm in recovery. I'm immature, a coward, I'm sick. But like being addicted in a relationship to try to change someone who makes me feel ashamed is sabotaging my inner child, who begs me not to return to the one who tries to shame me and prevents my growth and healing in a safe, secure way, because a person who doesn't have emotional intelligence, EQ, can't validate, reflect, calibrate, attune, or regulate emotions. When the person shames or punishes me and escalates any tension, it's a speedy lashing out, jabs and attacks. And it's so hard to remember I'm okay on my own, and that there's other people too, because it gets like addictive. Like it's like, I want to make this person stop. What do I have to do? Like, or how do I, like, it becomes very like intense and task motivating. And I felt like there was 3 major things. But before I say that, I would say that as my standards go up, I have to process, like as I'm saying, I don't want to be with a abusive, neglectful person. It's not just current. It's like the people in the past where there was denial of, like, I'm thinking specifically of these 2 men, like really the first 2 main men that I was involved with, taking away 1 person. And probably also, I'll just add that person too, like all the first like 3 men that I ever was involved with, only because I was probably just so desiring of like to get out of the shame. Maybe I felt like they had the key for me. But there was abuse, neglect. I felt I sold my soul. There was hopelessness about it ever getting better. I had denial about the injustice. There was low self-worth because of it, lack of conflict resolution and nonviolent communication on both sides. And I realized, like, in this bigger picture, that healthy could sometimes feel cold or indifferent, uncaring at first. like I wanted to feel chosen so much because I felt so unchosen, and the shaming made me feel so undesirable, so not wanted, so not chosen. I became like desperate because it felt like I would have the relief that I could relax from this person, it felt like a close person, like a family. They represented like my family. So I didn't even know if there's anyone who could actually meet the need. Am I even choosing myself is what I was asking myself. So the 3 areas. 1 is power, to want to feel effective, significant, potent, big. 2, familiarity. Something with my jaw, and I'm trying to equalize the pressure. I know it's a weird thing to do, but look, no shame. So familiarity, warmth, connection, not having to be patient to become known in less costly ways that are not so intense and reactive. But that means sometimes sitting out the loneliness because no one's reaching out, because there's quietness, or I have to entertain myself. I call it self-entertainment sometimes. And 3, excitement. Thrill, adrenaline, breaking boundaries. But if it's in a romance, it could be really fun and exciting. But if it's an abuse, it could be really painful and cause us to shut down. And I want to talk about what the Ramchal shares on this. So, in Mesilat Yesharim, chapter 11, the Ramchal's name is Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzatto. This is like his acronym. So, he talks about, let's say, we're going to talk about things that I feel are related to shame. So, jealousy. It only does damage to oneself. It does not even take the good away from the other person. We are not supposed to be ashamed of our jealousness, or else we can't work with it. So that's why I'm talking about this. So nor does it increase your own good. It's a lack of understanding and foolishness, basically, because you're not enjoying your own good because of the pain that others, their good he sees. Like a craftsman is jealous of the other craftsman who is succeeding in his trade. And it's also like the idea that sometimes someone has a bad feeling in their heart, even though they act happy and thankful for someone's good fortune. Like, yay, you won the lottery. And meanwhile, he's like really not pleased that it was you and not him, or he just doesn't feel you deserve it more than him. But it says in Yoma 38b that no man can touch what is designated for his fellow, even a hair's breadth. And some people are not even happy for their closest friends and their beloveds to rise, let alone a stranger. And when someone succeeds, they feel not fond of the person. So the Ramchal says one day, a successful person won't have to conceal because of that ugly jealousy in people's hearts, like his success. And all will rejoice in their service, delighting on the good in their hands, happy with their lot, knowing the full truth. And next, desire and lust. I mentioned, in desire, not having shame, and lust would be included in this. And here we're talking about 2 branches of lust, wealth and honor. And they're called the sisters of jealousy. In koheles Rabba 1:13, it says, no man dies with half of his lust attained. Lust binds a man, shackles of the world, harnessing thick ropes of labor and preoccupation upon his arms. He neglects service of God, prayer, study, and mitzvos. It leads him to transgress mitzvos and even reason. He transgresses against reason. In Koheles 5:9, it says, one who loves money will never be satiated with money. It exposes him also to many dangers, weakens his strength. So the Ramchal says that this money lust exposes a person to many dangers and weakens his strength with so many worries, even after he's attained a great amount. Honor lust is even harder to bear, to see oneself lesser, inferior to your peers. It brings to stumbling, sinning, and even murder for even the kings and the greatest people. It powerfully pushes a man's heart beyond the basic needs of easy livelihood, shelter, food, clothing, and a person feels the need to strain himself and overlabor, starving himself. stooping low to even get charity rather than engaging in a livelihood that he feels diminishes his honor, preferring idleness, which brings mental illness, immorality, theft, all sins rather than lower stature and, to detract from his imaginary honor. He's like, I don't want to be a janitor. Better I should be a beggar. Or just like a fundraiser who just really is in it for themselves, right? It's impossible to be a faithful servant to Hashem if he's always concerned with his honor, for then he'll need to detract from the honor of heaven. All honor besides true honor, which is knowledge of Torah, is imaginary, false, worthless, of no avail. The last area I want to share is in terms of loving securely, which we talked about different angles. And So love securely is on Instagram. And she says basically there's 4 categories of communication red flags. So the first we would say is annoying, but you can improve. Forgetting to text back, interrupting when excited, oversharing random details, takes things too literally, needs reminders for important stuff, and vents without asking first. Then you have concerning. This needs addressing. Dismisses your feelings regularly, never asks how you're doing, changes the subject when you're vulnerable, defensive about everything, stonewalls during conflict, makes you explain everything repeatedly. And then you have harmful. This is a serious issue. Mocks you when you share feelings, tells you you're too sensitive, gaslights about what you said, silent treatment as punishment, twists words, constantly shuts down all difficult conversations. And deal breaker is you should leave is someone who uses your vulnerabilities against you, denies things you know happened, blames you for their abuse, refuses to ever take responsibility, and screams or threatens during arguments, and does name calling, character attacks. We'll stop here. All the best. Bye. And this is it's an important day really to connect with a healthy relationship, to following the rules. What I mean is like the principles that keep us guarded and in the fence, like from danger. Not that there is anything to be afraid of, but just the idea that by accepting that protection for what's precious keeps it at that level. It's like a respect. It's a duty to maintain adequate standards, restrictions, discipline. Okay, that's all.